All right, let's get real for a second. Have you ever wondered why the negatives in your life feel so heavy? I'm not just talking about bad days or things not going your way. I mean those moments when everything feels like it's stacked against you. When you're stuck in a loop of bad decisions, missed opportunities, or just plain bad luck. Why does it feel like the universe is out to get you? What if I told you there's something about this universe, something so mind-blowing that it could completely change the way you see these negatives? Stick with me, because today we're about to connect your struggles to something far bigger than you've ever imagined. Here's the thing, we all have negatives in our lives, and we all deal with them differently. Some of us fight back, some of us ignore them, and some of us let them define who we are. But have you ever stopped to think, what actually makes something negative? Is it the event itself, or is it how we're wired to perceive it? Let's break this down. Imagine this: you're walking down the street and you trip on the sidewalk. Embarrassing, right? Maybe frustrating. But what if that same trip makes you look down and notice a $100 bill lying on the ground? Suddenly, that negative moment becomes a positive one. So here's the first insane truth about the universe: negatives don't exist by themselves. They only exist in contrast to positives. That means every bad thing you've ever experienced has the potential to flip into something good. The question is, how do you flip it? And why does the universe seem to work this way? Think about this: the universe itself is built on opposites. Light and dark, hot and cold, matter and antimatter. Even the way atoms are structured, protons and electrons, positive and negative charges, relies on this balance. Without negatives, the universe literally wouldn't function. So if negatives are necessary on a cosmic scale, doesn't that mean they're also necessary in your life?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
What if your challenges aren't there to ruin you but to balance you? And what if the negatives you're facing right now are actually setting you up for something incredible, something you can't even see yet? Let's take this deeper. Have you ever noticed that some of the worst moments in your life came right before a breakthrough? Like losing a job and then finding your dream career, or ending a toxic relationship and finally discovering real love. Why does it always seem like the universe throws its hardest punches right before things get better? Here's the wild part: those negatives are literally the fuel for your growth. Without them, there's no tension, no reason to push forward, no reason to change. But here's where it gets tricky. Most people don't see it this way. When something bad happens, our brains go into panic mode. We ask, why is this happening to me, instead of asking, what is this preparing me for? And that mindset? That's the difference between people who stay stuck and people who thrive. So let me ask you, when was the last time you took a negative in your life and turned it into a lesson? Or better yet, turned it into an advantage? If you're struggling to answer that, don't worry. We've all been there. But what if I told you there's a way to train your brain to see negatives completely differently? We'll get into that later. Now, let's zoom out for a second. Think about the universe itself: galaxies, stars, black holes. Did you know that stars only exist because of gravity pulling matter together? Without that pull, the negative force, the tension, there would be no stars. And black holes, they're literally born from the collapse of stars. The end of one thing becomes the beginning of something else. So, doesn't it make sense that the black holes in your life, the moments when everything feels like it's falling apart, might actually be the start of something massive? Something you can't even comprehend yet. If you're still with me, let me hit you with something even crazier. Scientists have discovered that the universe is expanding. But here's the catch: it's expanding because of a mysterious force called dark energy. And dark energy? We barely understand it. It's invisible, it's everywhere, and it's literally pushing the boundaries of the universe outward. So, what if the dark energy in your life, the invisible, unexplainable struggles, are actually what's pushing you to grow? What if the universe isn't working against you but for you in ways you can't even see? And here's a question I want you to think about. If every negative in your life is connected to the bigger picture of the universe, how would that change the way you react to them? Would you see them as roadblocks or stepping stones? Stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to unlock the insane connection between your mindset and the universe itself. You won't believe how much control you actually have. All right, let's pick up where we left off. If negatives are essential to the universe and to your growth, then why do they feel so overwhelming? Why do they feel so final? The answer lies in your mind. And let me tell you, the way your brain works is even more mind-blowing than the universe itself. Here's the deal: your brain is wired for survival, not happiness. That means it's constantly scanning for danger, for threats, for things that could go wrong. It's why you remember the one negative comment on your post instead of the 100 positive ones. It's why you dwell on mistakes instead of celebrating wins. It's why bad memories stick with you longer than good ones. Your brain is literally designed to focus on the negative. It's like a survival mechanism from when humans had to worry about predators and starvation. But here's the catch: in today's world, those same survival instincts are keeping you stuck. They're making you see negatives as threats instead of opportunities. So how do we fix this? How do we rewire our brains to see negatives for what they really are: a part of the balance, a part of the universe's design? The first step is understanding something called neuroplasticity. This is the brain's ability to change and adapt. Every time you think a thought, you're literally changing the structure of your brain. Crazy, right? Negative thoughts strengthen negative pathways, while positive thoughts strengthen positive ones. So the more you focus on negatives, the more your brain gets stuck in a negative loop. But the more you focus on positives, even in the middle of a negative situation, the more you train your brain to see the upside. Think about it like this: your brain is like a muscle. If you only work out one side of it, that side gets stronger while the other side stays weak. So if you want to break the cycle of negativity, you have to start exercising the positive side of your brain. And no, this isn't about pretending everything is fine or ignoring problems. It's about finding the lesson, the meaning, the growth in every negative experience. Let me ask you this: when was the last time you actively looked for the silver lining in a bad situation? Not just saying it'll be okay, but really digging deep to find the why behind what happened. If you haven't done this before, now's the time to start. Because here's the truth: your mindset is the key to unlocking the universe's design. And in the next part, we're going to explore how this mindset connects to the deepest mysteries of existence. Title of Part 3: What the Universe is Trying to Teach You Right Now. Now, let's talk about purpose. Why do negatives exist in your life? What's the point? The truth is, the universe is trying to teach you something that could change everything if you're willing to listen. But here's the catch: the universe doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns, in struggles, in breakthroughs. And it's up to you to decode the message. Let's go back to the idea of balance. The universe is all about equilibrium. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every setback, there's a comeback. But here's the thing, you can't have one without the other. You can't grow without challenges. You can't succeed without failure. You can't truly appreciate happiness without experiencing pain. And once you understand this, once you accept that negatives are a necessary part of the process, you stop fearing them. You start using them. Here's a practical way to do this the next time something negative happens. Ask yourself 3 questions. 1, what is this trying to teach me? 2, how can I use this to grow? And 3, what's the bigger picture here? When you shift your focus from why is this happening to me to what can I learn from this, you take back control. And when you take back control, you align yourself with the universe's design. But here's the wildest part, the universe doesn't just want you to survive your negatives. It wants you to thrive because of them. Every negative in your life is an invitation to level up, to become stronger, smarter, more resilient, to discover parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. So the next time you're faced with a challenge, remember this: the universe isn't punishing you, it's preparing you. And here's my final question for you. If the universe is rooting for you, what's stopping you from rooting for yourself? Let that sink in. If the universe is rooting for you, and trust me, it is, then the only thing standing in your way is you. Think about that for a second. All those negatives, all those struggles, all those moments you felt like giving up, they're not signs that you're unlucky or cursed or destined to fail. They're signs that you're being given an opportunity to grow into the person you're meant to become. But you can't grow if you're constantly fighting against yourself. So let's bring this full circle. When something bad happens, most of us default to blaming others, blaming circumstances, even blaming ourselves. But blame, while it might feel good in the moment, doesn't solve anything. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you focused on the problem instead of the solution. So instead of blaming, what if you tried something different? What if you tried gratitude? Now, I know what you're thinking. Gratitude? For the bad things in my life? Are you kidding me? But hear me out. Gratitude isn't about pretending that bad things are good. It's about recognizing the role those bad things play in your life. It's about saying, this sucks right now, but I'm thankful for the chance to learn from it. Gratitude shifts your perspective. It takes your focus off what you've lost and puts it on what you can gain. And when you start to see the negatives in your life through the lens of gratitude, everything changes. Here's an example. Let's say you've just gone through a breakup. It's painful, right? Maybe you're angry, maybe you're heartbroken, maybe you're wondering if you'll ever find love again. But instead of getting stuck in those feelings, what if you asked yourself, what did this teach me about myself? About what I want in a partner? About what I deserve in a relationship? When you frame it that way, the breakup stops being just a source of pain and starts being a source of growth. And that gratitude? It's like a key that unlocks the door to your next chapter. But gratitude is just the beginning. Once you've shifted your mindset, once you've started to see negatives as opportunities, the next step is action. Because here's the truth: the universe is always moving, always expanding, always evolving. And if you want to align yourself with that energy, you have to move too. You have to take the lessons the universe is giving you and put them into practice. You have to use your pain as fuel. You have to turn your setbacks into stepping stones. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you turned a failure into a win? When was the last time you looked at a negative situation and said, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm going to use it to become better? If you've never done that, then today is the day to start. Because the moment you take control of your narrative, the moment you decide that your negatives don't define you, is the moment your life starts to change. And here's where it gets really exciting. When you start to see negatives as opportunities, when you start to align yourself with the universe's balance, you begin to notice patterns. You begin to see how every heartbreak, every failure, every moment of doubt was leading you to this exact point. It's like looking back at a maze and realizing that every wrong turn was actually guiding you to the right path. And once you see that, once you understand that the universe has been rooting for you all along, you start to trust the process. You start to trust yourself. But trust doesn't mean sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It means taking action, even when you're afraid. It means stepping into the unknown, even when you're not sure what's on the other side. It means believing that the negatives in your life aren't there to break you, they're there to build you. And the more you trust, the more you act, the more the universe responds. It's like a feedback loop. The more you give, the more you get. The more you grow, the more opportunities you attract. The more negatives you overcome, the stronger you become. So let me leave you with this: the negatives in your life aren't random. They're not meaningless. They're not there to punish you. They're there to shape you, to teach you, to prepare you for something greater. And the sooner you stop fighting them and start embracing them, the sooner you'll unlock your true potential. But the real question is, are you ready? Are you ready to stop seeing negatives as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities? Are you ready to align yourself with the universe's design? Are you ready to take control of your life? If the answer is yes, then your journey starts now, because the universe is waiting for you. And trust me, it's got big plans. Now let's get into what happens when you say yes, when you decide to stop resisting the negatives and start working with them. Something incredible begins to unfold. This isn't some abstract, feel-good idea. It's a very real process that you'll feel in your emotions, your actions, and even your results. But here's the thing most people don't realize: the moment you shift your perspective, the universe starts to shift with you. Think about it. Life isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The negatives in your life aren't roadblocks, they're stepping stones. They're not punishment, they're preparation. But preparation for what? That's where it gets personal, because the answer is different for everyone. For some, it's preparing you for a deeper purpose in your career. For others, it's preparing you to become the person you need to be for the relationships you want. It could even be preparing you to handle success on a scale you can't even imagine yet. But here's the question: what if every negative in your life was a test? And what if passing that test was the key to unlocking the life you've been dreaming of? Let's break this down practically, because just understanding this isn't enough. You have to do something with it. The first step is to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What now?" That's a small shift, but it's powerful. Why me keeps you stuck in victim mode, focused on the problem. What now puts you in creator mode, focused on the solution. And when you're in creator mode, you start to see possibilities where you once saw barriers. For example, let's say you've just experienced a massive failure. Maybe you launched a business and it flopped, or you studied hard for an exam and still didn't pass. The default reaction is to dwell on the pain, to replay the failure over and over in your mind. But what if instead you asked yourself, "What now? What can I do differently next time? What did I learn from this that I couldn't have learned any other way?" Suddenly, that failure isn't just a failure, it's a lesson. And lessons are priceless because they're what allow you to grow. Here's where it gets even more interesting. The universe doesn't just test you for fun. The size of your challenges often matches the size of your potential. Think about that. If you're facing big challenges right now, it's because the universe sees you as someone capable of handling them. It's like lifting weights at the gym. The heavier the weight, the stronger you become. But if you avoid the heavy weights, if you avoid the negatives in your life, you miss out on the chance to grow. So the next time you're hit with something hard, ask yourself, what is this weight building in me? What strength am I gaining from this? And let's talk about fear for a second, because fear is often what holds people back from facing their negatives. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But here's the truth: fear isn't your enemy. Fear is a signal. It's like your body's way of saying, hey, there's something important here. Pay attention. The things you're most afraid of are often the things that will lead to the biggest growth. So instead of running from your fears, what if you leaned into them? What if you saw fear not as a stop sign, but as a green light telling you to go? Now, let me ask you this: what's one fear you've been avoiding? Maybe it's having a difficult conversation. Maybe it's taking a risk in your career. Maybe it's stepping out of your comfort zone in some other way. Whatever it is, I want you to imagine what your life would look like if you faced that fear. How would it feel to overcome it? What would it open up for you? The truth is, the only way to truly grow is to face the things that scare you. And when you do, you'll realize that most of your fears are just illusions, problems your mind has magnified, but that aren't nearly as big as they seem. Now, let's tie this back to the universe. Earlier, we talked about how the universe is built on balance, how negatives and positives are two sides of the same coin. But here's something even deeper: the universe is also built on expansion. From the moment of the Big Bang, the universe has been growing, evolving, reaching for more. And guess what? You're a part of that universe. That same energy of expansion is inside you. It's in the way you dream about a better life. It's in the way you push yourself to grow, even when it's hard. It's in the way you keep going, even when everything seems to be falling apart. That drive to expand, to evolve, to become more, that's the universe expressing itself through you. So the next time you feel stuck, the next time you're overwhelmed by negatives, remember this: you are not separate from the universe. You are a part of it. And just like the universe, you are designed to grow. You are designed to overcome. You are designed to turn your negatives into positives. But it's up to you to take that first step. Let's wrap this up with one final, powerful truth: the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And sometimes, what you need doesn't look like what you want. Sometimes, it looks like struggle. Sometimes, it looks like pain. But if you trust the process, if you trust that the negatives in your life are shaping you, preparing you, strengthening you, you'll come out on the other side stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your purpose. So here's my challenge to you: the next time something negative happens, don't run from it. Don't resist it. Don't let it define you. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this? What strength is this building in me? And most importantly, trust that the universe is working for you, not against you. Because the truth is, the negatives in your life aren't obstacles, they're opportunities. And the moment you start to see them that way is the moment your life will change. Now, it's your turn. What will you do with the negatives in your life? Will you let them hold you back, or will you use them to propel yourself forward? The choice is yours, and the universe, it's waiting for your answer.